right, class, welcome back to English 1301. I hope you're all doing well during this time of pandemic and crisis, and you're getting through your classes all right. The last time we were here, we had an incredible class, or I gave you a lecture, in where we talked about the profile. Now, if we back up and go to our course policies and calendar, one of the things I had asked you to do was to think about and come up with who you want to profile. I gave you a lot of different choices of about 100 possibilities. Your job now is to once again go and get that done, go and get the footwork done. Some of you may have already done that, and it's fine. If you have, in fact, it's encouraged. And then if you haven't, the time is now to move into it, okay? To move into it. So by moving into it, I mean picking your person. Oh, and I had a great session where a lot of students showed up and asked me questions like, Mr. Welsh, could I do a border patrol agent? Or Mr. Welsh, can I do, one young woman asked me, I'm a military wife, and she said, could I interview a soldier? And, I always say to that, yes. One thing about being in the military is military people, not only do I salute them for their service to this country. I'm not a soldier. I never have been. I have very good friends who have. My father was in World War II, God rest his soul, in the Army as a medic. But military people have stories, class. Always good stories to tell. So yeah, I told her, go get, I don't want you to do your husband, but if you can get a soldier and sit down and talk to them for an hour and interview them, once again, and take your notes, as we talked about last time, get an hour's worth of notes, perfect, okay? So don't complicate it. An ex-teacher, yes, all those things I talked about. A friend that maybe is a musician, fine. Someone that's into horses. People are fascinating. As I told you last time, there's a lot of possibilities. So now your deadline is coming up. As we talked about last time, what are you going to need to turn in for those of you that are in class 11850 and 12176? According to our course policies and calendar here, your deadline is a week from today, okay? So what are you going to turn in to make deadline that day? You're going to turn in a first draft typed, a second draft typed. The second draft will be the final draft and the verification that you workshopped it in the Writing Center. Class, already I've had some students that have received a lot of help from the Writing Center, so that's good. Will they do the essay for you? No. Will they give you the whole English language in a couple sessions? No, but they can help, as they helped me when I was at the community college many decades ago. So the 14th, you need to have a week from today. Rough draft, final draft, Writing Center verification. And then class, if you would please, let's talk about this now. Send it over Blackboard messages. That's fine. If you have to send a first draft, a second draft, and the verification, that's fine. For many of you, as you know, my next lecture will be about your first portfolios. Those are graded. I read some really good portfolios, mix of grades from A- to F. And those have gone back. Some people still need to make some adjustments. That's all right. If you didn't get a Writing Center verification, I won't grade your essay. If you didn't hand in a rough draft, I won't grade your essay. But class, when you get it all to me, I'll grade it. As long as you turned it in initially on the day that it was due, and then there'll be no penalty or late penalties, okay? I just heard from a student today, Mr. Welsh, I'm lost. I haven't been around. I haven't done any work. What should I do? Okay, simple. And I'm here to be kind and helpful. Drop the class. Drop the class, I told her. You're too far gone. You're setting yourself up for failure. Don't set yourself up for failure. Set yourself up for success. Drop the class. I'm not judging you, but you've already set yourself up for failure. Set yourself up for success. Take it next time. When you have to say, too much of the semester is gone, you'll never pass. And you'll never pass successfully, which I want for my students. Why do you want to take a D in this class or an F? It should not be that way. So, the 14th. You're going to turn in on the 14th. Sections 11850 and 12176. Rough draft, final draft, writing center verification. And then I'll grade it. Turn it in. Please want to keep things simple now. Just turn in everything, if you would, please, class, through Blackboard Messages. And if you want to, each one of those simple Microsoft Word attachment, boom, 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 and send it the 3 to me that way over Blackboard Messages, that'll work out fine. I have graded essays that come in over emails, but now that I'm in a good process here, we might as well keep it to Blackboard Messages. Very good class. And then for sections, which were at a different time, 12175 and 11816, you're going to turn in your, what I just explained, your essay, the draft, final draft, writing center verification on the 20th. All right? So, if you haven't done your interview yet, do it. Who are you going to do? I don't know. But I just gave you a bunch of possibilities. Now, if you haven't done your interview yet, set it up immediately. Hit it tomorrow, because you want to nail that thing for sure by this weekend, so you can get enough time with the Writing Center and you can get enough time to draft it. Now, have a backup plan in case one doesn't work out. I had a student tell me, sometimes having Mr. Welsh, I couldn't get to that person. Mr. Welsh, I couldn't pull it off. The only person responsible for any of this is you. You're in college now. Say someone burns you and doesn't make it to the session, or you can't get them in an interview. Who's responsible? You're responsible. Okay? Go to your next choice. So maybe you were going to do a liquor store owner. You couldn't get to him. Go to your next choice, which is maybe a out-of-work bartender, or maybe a waitress, or maybe a doctor, or maybe a lawyer, or maybe, someone who was in Vietnam, or maybe a lowrider, maybe a gang member, maybe not a gang member, maybe a preacher. All those things we talked about. Get it done now. So what's going to happen is after your interview class, you're going to have your, whatever paper you use, notebook, whatever, you'll have all this material laid out. Here's what I would do. This is what I learned in journalism school. This is what I learned to do as a working writer. Lay out all your notes. And then make sure you get the person's phone number, or however you contact them. You may need a second interview, but no more ever, class, than 10 minutes on a second interview. 1 hour for the first one, 10 minutes for the second. Maximum, because this assignment is doable, it's challenging, and I've had students pull them off before at the community college and do great jobs about it, all right? It's doable, but it's challenging, but you can do it, and it takes time. So, you'll have all your notes laid out from the interview, and we talked last time about what would be good questions. Also, I had a live session where I helped students with that. Students did great on my live session last week. I talked to them, as like being in a class. It was excellent. And students came up with a lot of very good questions. So once again, take 10 questions to your interview, have them written out on a separate sheet of paper, whether you're doing it over Zoom or FaceTime or some other thing, or live. You want to make sure you're social distancing if you're going to do that. 10 questions, and then just start the interview. Writing as much as you can. 10 questions. And then your job is to hit it and quit it in an hour. Hit it and quit. How do you get in? How do you get out? How do How do you take care of something in college? How do you get out of it and move on to the next thing? And remember, you can do these things, class. If I can do it and did it, and I'm certainly not the smartest man in the world, you can do it, all right? The question is, if you dig it, stay with it. Stay in the game. Stay in the game. Don't let anyone ever take you out of the game if you did college. And then if you have things like, well, I need to work on my English, work on it, right? I'm still working on it. It's like me working on my Spanish. Got to work on it. Got to read the Spanish poets. Got to listen to La Poderosa on the radio. Got to listen to the telenovelas at times. Got to listen to El Sábado Gigante. You know, these things. How much time am I going to put into the Spanish? The more time I put in, the more I get out, right? It's like English, and I'm still putting in a ton of time with English because I'm a writer and I'm a poet. And I'm a student. I'm still learning the language. I'm still looking at, do I use the right word here? How can I improve? How can I get better? Because I'm not so much a professor as a student. Class, ask the 10 questions, get in, get out in an hour. And then when you're done, you're going to have all these pages laid out, pages and pages and pages of stuff. And you'll look at it. And here's what I do, class. How should you start your memoir? I mean, not your memoir, your profile. Figure out how you want to focus it, right? And how should you focus it? Class, I do something that an editor on a daily newspaper told me in Los Angeles. I didn't learn this in journalism school, but I learned it after journalism school. Said, keep it simple. Go through your notes. The most interesting thing the person said, start with that. So, it could be something like this. Say you're going to write something about a Border Patrol agent. We'll give his name as Javier Sanchez because he's an old friend of mine in town that's retired now. Man that meant a lot to me, many years at the community college. In fact, I got to talk to him this weekend. I should. It's been a little bit too much time. He was the premier boxing writer for El Norte in El Diario. Oh man, the guy used to take me to the fights in Juarez, Class. I'm not fighting anyone anymore, not at this age. But Javier Sanchez, incredible man. So, say though you're writing about a Border Patrol agent, and the most incredible thing he saw was, maybe a shooting in Van Horn. Start off your essay like this. For Javier Sanchez, comma, the United States Border Patrol agent, comma, the bullets flew fast and furious during that day in 2019 in Van Horn, Texas. Boom. Are we in the story? Yes. Let it roll from there. Go back and look at Betsy Buffo's interview with an artist. See how simple she keeps it. Then you could go right into a quote. I was shot at 16 times in Van Horn, Sanchez says, recalling that day. I can still, period, quote unquote, I can still see the bullets in my mind. Boom. Are we in the essay? Yes. Sanchez, comma, who went to the University of Texas at El Paso and graduated in 2010 with a degree in criminal justice, comma, has been with the Border Patrol now for 6 years. Boom, period. Then another quote from him. Then maybe a little more about his background information. Then maybe where he grew up. Then maybe a little bit about his relationship to the Spanish language. Then maybe about letting us know if he's married or has any kids or whatever. Boom, simple. Let it flow. Let it flow. And what am I going to look for? Profile of Javier Sanchez, the Border Patrol agent. When you're doing these essays, go back and look. That's why we have the writer's reference book. Look on the correct way to use quotations. All right? Go back and look at Betsy Buffo. Go back and look at Molly O'Neill on A Surgeon's War. Look how they interweave quotations. So, 700,000 words, hit it and quit it, get in, get out. That's what I'm looking for. All right? That's what I'm looking for. So let it roll and have fun with it. You do the focus that you want. All right? one time class, they'd sent me out in the South Bay of Los Angeles County to just do a simple feature story on a guy they had heard about, an editor did, who owned 500 baseball caps. And they said, send Welsh out. He's a young reporter. Maybe he can give us an interesting piece about this. So I went to this guy's house, and all I knew is that he lived in Torrance, California, and he had 500 baseball caps. So I went and I interviewed him for about an hour and a half. I took notes and notes and notes and notes, and I got back to the newspaper, and I was on deadline, banging out a story about this dude who has 500 baseball caps. That's it. Got a lot about his background information. I just want to share this with you, class, because I turned in the story, and the assistant city editor said, come up here. Welsh, and he was editing it. And the whole story was there, but man, I was really stuck on having a good opening line. And so my editor looked at it and looked at it and looked at it. And the guy's name was Stephen Lindell. And so the editor said, let's do this, Welsh. How about starting off the profile like this? Hats off to Stephen Lindell, period. I was like, cool. See, yeah, class, that was simple. That was perfect. And then boom, write all my work underneath that, you know. Talking about Lindell, talking about how he grew up, talking about how he got 500 baseball caps. Are you with me? And we let it roll. And it was what was called a soft feature. Nothing heavy. We got to know about a guy and his obsession with baseball caps. And as the writer, as Molly O'Neill does, with Susan Love, Dr. Susan Love, she gives us all those good details. She tells us about Dr. Love wanting to become a nun. She talked about Dr. Love on that journey to becoming one of the preeminent breast surgeons in America. And class, what did Dr. Love do that you're going to have to do, that I'm going to have to do, that we all have to do if we want to do it? She worked. She struggled. She had to struggle with, even on top of everything else, going to med school at a time. She tells us there are very few women in medical school. And the doctors, the other men doctors, would berate her for being a woman and saying stuff, why don't you just stay home and get pregnant, right? It was the old school. Almost, she said a lot of the women had nervous breakdowns, yet Dr. Love persevered. All those good details. And it tells us that, she had to even learn about herself and her sexuality and coming to grips with being, a lesbian. Class, heavy stuff, but here she is doing her thing, adopting a kid, raising the kid in Los Angeles. All those good details, what she's wearing, what's on her scrubs, all those details. And then, even though it's a student essay, Betsy Buffo with the portrait she does of an artist, of Derek Washington, that young man, we get to know Derek Washington a bit. We see a young African-American man who's struggling to be an artist, who's had some rejection, who's in the game. Hold on one sec, class. I'm going to take this with me because I don't want to lose this video, and my son is just knocking at the door. Hold with me, class. Let me get him, my son, Patrick Welsh. I'll get him, and we're going to continue this. Hold on, Patrick. I'm coming. I'm making a video, class, for class. We're glad you're home. Wash your hands, son. I'm making a video for my class. Come on in. Good. He's got his mask on. There he is. All right, Patrick Welsh. The 16-year-old, 6'3". All right, trying to figure out what it's like to be 16. Anyway, class, he's figuring it out. I'm going to come back. We're going to come back here to where I'm lecturing and help you. All right, Patrick, are you all set? There's dinner here for you, but let me finish this video and then I'll help you, Patrick. Mom's at Roberts, and Margaret's over there on Sunset Heights. She'll be home. Let me finish this video, son, and then I'll get you dinner. Give me a little bit of time. So, all those details. So have some fun with it, class, and write it. And you know what the deadline is. And get it in, okay? Then, class, I'm thinking after you get this one in, I may do a little rearranging of the class. I'll let you know well in advance. I may, because of the pandemic and crisis, I'm trying to help my students. I may drop one of the essays this semester and give you a little extra time on an essay, just because we're in this uncharted situation of teaching in a crisis. But I'll let you know well in advance. But let's make this deadline for the next one. Okay. So let's see my notes here. Anything else? So yeah, get one done, and I look forward to grading that. Take 10 questions, spend an hour, take plenty of notes, write it. If you have holes in your story when you go to write it, that's when you can write the person back and ask them, say, hey, you know what? I have a little hole in my story here. I want to put in where you went to college, but I didn't have it. Or I didn't know where you went to high school, and I want to put that in my story. Or I didn't know how big of a family you came from. Or I'm doing this profile on language, and I didn't quite ask you whether your first language is Spanish or English and what your relationship to the languages are. All right? So, class, I hope that helps. And the next time I put up a video, which will be soon, this weekend, I'm going to put up a video class that is going to talk about all my marks that we had on your last essay, okay? On your profiles. I'll give you examples of what an incomplete sentence it was. I'll talk about run-on sentences. I'll talk about punctuation. I'll give you examples of sentences that I saw that were incorrect once again. And I read a lot of good work, class. I read a lot of good memoirs too. So we'll talk about those, and that will be my grading schematic for the rest of the semester. Okay. On some of your essays, I have places where I marked awk. That means awkward, and I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that, class, and what's an awkward sentence. And then, you know, the journey continues. Some students, some of their memoirs, the grades were down because there was some basic grammar errors. Like I've had, and this happens, I'm here to help you with it, class. We'll talk about it next time, but the bottom line is, in writing, you pick one tense and you stick to it. Everything's generally, and you write an essay, put everything in past tense. It's when you start going past, present, past, present, past, present, past, present, past, present, that, you know, it'll drive the reader insane, and the reader will say, wow, this person needs some help with basic grammar, which we learn in, you know, the early years. But part of being at the community college is the refresher, as I've said before, the refresher, because once again, there were things I didn't get in high school. It was like, you know, I kind of missed that in high school. I forgot it. I better get it now, because El Paso Community College, or my community college, El Camino in Los Angeles County, was the last house on the block. That's it. I was either going to get it there or I'd never get it. So I was like, wow, I got to get really conscientious about my writing to clean it up, so I can go on and, you know, go to the university or whatever the hell I want to do, you know, and dedicate myself to, you know, improving our lives. So that's where we are. So that's the deadlines. The next video I'll post will be about that. And we'll talk all about my grading, etc., etc. So class, good luck. And we'll have another... maybe we'll have a live session Friday. We'll see what we can do, or the week after that. But we'll set it up. We'll set it up, but in the meantime, knock out this profile as best as you can, class. Get that done. Work with that, and class. I look forward to reading these. And with that said, stay well. Once again, stay healthy. I hope you and your family are doing well. I know we have a vice presidential debate on tonight. The last debate kind of drove me crazy. I may watch some of this tonight, I may not, but my hope is that once again that you stay well, your family stays well, that our family here on the border, El Paso, Texas, that I love so much, that we can get through this. We get through this as a community. Everybody out here on La Frontera, the frontier. That is my home. That is my place that I love. All right. So you stay safe and well, class. Good luck with these, and we'll see you next time. All right. I hope you have a great evening. Bye-bye.